Okay, here we are. Let's read the message. This message that hasn't been here for 4 years. From an old story that never got completed. Hyford's cache. So whatever process it was going through in the last video, it has now completed that. And here's a message from it. Timer complete. Rebooting. Power check. Okay. Diagnostic check. Okay. System check. Okay. Welcome back, Commander. You have one inbox message pending. I don't know what's going to be left by the time you get this. Had to stop them from intercepting the message. But please, go to the HIP 26176 system and find that complex. For the sake of the ones taken there by scum like me. Someone has to remember them and ensure it never happens again. And then you have HIP 26176 with some coordinates. Hyford obviously feeling really bad about what he did, finding out that he was a unwitting accessory to human trafficking. But this mystery continues back in the bubble. So that's where we're going next. We're back in the bubble and we're going to the next location. Now if you're in Odyssey, there's a little bit of a bug here because if you just paste the name in, it takes you to the wrong star. So the way around that is to type it in manually. And then you can see there, select it from the list and it will take you to the right star. For those of you having problems plotting to HIP 26176 because of the permits and permit locked areas, you can plot to Shenve in the Witchhead system and in the Witchhead sector. Plot here to Shenve, and from there, as long as you have a reasonable range, you should be able to plot to HIP 26176. When we finally get to the HIP 26176 system, there's a listening post here with a corrupted message. The decoding key that they give below there, 0123 @5?789, refers to how to decode the numbers just before it says message ends. So the asterisk is 4, the question mark is 6, and so that number at the bottom is 238.46. And then you can see that it's actually quite an easy letter substitution to work out. Set the escape pod to, doesn't give a location, you'll find a ship waiting. Travel to, and when you translate that, it's a system in the coal sector. And then it says, if you believe in anything, I suggest you pray to it. As well as this message on the listening post, there is a base here with some logs that are well worth reading, so that's where we're going next. Here we are at body A5I, in the same system as the listening post we just visited. There it is. This is where you go to read the logs at this place, Oaken Point. It didn't show up in the nav panel when you went to find the listening post. The listening post itself does. So if that happens for you and it doesn't show up in the nav panel, then this is the body that you want. HIP 26176, body A5I. I want to see the wreckage of another T9. Some more bits of wreckage lying around. And I always think they do such a good job on these bases to give them that abandoned, desolate, creepy feel to them. And I think this new terrain generated by Odyssey is really coming together. Look at that, that's just pretty spectacular in this little valley here. And if I can find a spot to land, I'll drive round and pick up the logs that were here and take a look at them. Having found all 5 logs here at Oaken Point, let's have a listen to them.
Project Serif Log 1. Professor Thomas Dawn reporting. After years of preparation, we are ready to enter the trial phase of our work. The subject quota outlined in Requisition Order 2125 has been fulfilled. Surgical enhancements are scheduled on candidates deemed most likely to survive the Thargoid systemic interface. There is a sense of excitement here at the facility. My team recognize that we are on the threshold of something truly remarkable. While our competitors chase rumors and run lab tests on curious probes, we are working towards the first human-piloted Thargoid vessel. Of course, our research here will be the first of many such projects. This hostile race has plagued human space for hundreds of years. These creatures, so foreign, so fundamentally alien in every aspect, have sought to dominate us. The technology used in these attempts has been devastating. Our work will establish the first example of humanity harnessing Thargoid machines for its needs. Over time, we will continue to assimilate the aliens' technology until we have stripped everything we want. Then we shall lead the mission to wipe them out forever. The mycoid virus merely bought us time. Our true victory will be absolute. Project Serif Log 6, Professor Thomas Dawn reporting. Today, my team completed the first live tests of human integration with a Thargoid ship. Subject A1 entered the Thargoid vessel at 0800 and initiated the interface procedure with assistance from the witnessing Dr. Pierce and Dr. Hamlin. A1's vital signs were stable for 43 seconds, at which point there was a major electrical surge through the central nervous system. Both witnesses observed the subject suffer a violent seizure which ultimately proved fatal. The Thargoid vessel appeared unaffected. The next 5 tests were similar in outcome. While unfortunate, our analysts were able to identify where this surge originates. Subject A7 showed more promise, again witnessed by Pierce and Hamlin. Adjustments were made to A7's spinal port to suppress the energy surge. 45 seconds after initiation, an electrical spike occurred which remained within safety limits. A7 reported some discomfort, but was able to proceed with vessel initiation. At this point, the Thargoid vessel emitted a low whine, I suppose. Signs of activity briefly flickered on the hull's external frame. Both witnesses reported A7 crying out once before expiring, whereupon the vessel returned to a dormant state. Dr. Pierce is adamant the subject said, "It won't let me," but Dr. Hamlin could not confirm this. We are still waiting for telemetry on A7's test to determine exactly what killed the subject. Adjustments will be made to the next test subject in response to these findings. Project Serif Log 9, Professor Thomas Dawn reporting. The 4th day of testing has concluded. The further revisions to our surgical couplings are finally beginning to show promise. My team isolated a systemic membrane in the Thargoid design which acts as a defense mechanism akin to a software firewall. While we were able to theorize a way to counteract this mechanism, there was one variable which could not be defined without a live test. Subject D1's primary neural implant was calibrated accordingly. I regret that D1's test ended poorly, but we received the information we needed. Subject D2's test used the recalibrated couplings. Her introduction to the Thargoid vessel proceeded smoothly, and as with A7, the hull's external frame responded visually. Dr. Pierce and Dr. Hamlin, witnessing both, reported D2 as responsive. 76 seconds into the test, the craft powered down once more. D2 departed the craft with help but standing, the sight of which inspired applause from the team on the ground. D2 is now in the infirmary, exhausted but physically unharmed. Her brief statement implied a connection with the vessel which proved emotionally difficult to process. Our research technicians are preparing limbic augments for future subjects. The rest of today's scheduled tests will go ahead as planned while these augments are prepared. It is important to acquire additional data for our surgeons, improving the efficiency of future subject enhancement. Project Serif, Log 14, Professor Thomas Dawn reporting. There has been considerable progress in our work. After an initially unremarkable series of tests, Subject H8 successfully interfaced with the Thargoid vessel. 93 seconds into the test, the craft moved approximately 18 feet from its docking props and hovered in place. The flight was stable and accompanied by a gentle hum. I would describe the sound as subdued, as though the vessel had been brought to heel at last. The landing, 28 seconds later, was abrupt, but only superficial damage was sustained. H8 is unconscious but stable under the care of the medical team. Dr. Hamlin and Dr. Tao, witnessing, were shaken but unharmed. Subject H9's test has been postponed while the Thargoid ship is returned to its dock. The whereabouts of D2 remains unconfirmed. She may be a stowaway. The only ship to have departed recently belongs to one Commander Hyford, following a delivery of potential subjects. Captain Stenson believes the commander is complicit, but I am not convinced. Hyford lacks the character to betray us and is quite aware of the consequences for doing so. Regardless, Black Flight operatives are already tracking him down. On a personal note, I would like to emphasize the incredible work by my team so far. Each day brings us closer to the assimilation of our enemy's primary asset, their technological secrets. Project Serif, Log 27. Professor Thomas Dawn reporting. Subjects V1 through V9 attempted to interface with the Thargoid vessel today. No measurable response was seen for any of these tests. I have decided to temporarily suspend the test phase of the project. Since Subject H8's connection and subsequent death 2 days later, the Thargoid vessel has entered a state of dormancy. It is as though all internal power sources are spent. We may as well be plugging our subject into a rock. A new Thargoid craft is required if our work here is to continue. I have identified a suitable system to begin our search. Black Flight operatives will depart shortly, in advance of our research party. The recent report of a commander encountering a Thargoid vessel in the Pleiades is intriguing. I only hope this was not a singular event, or some misunderstood data. Thargoid vessels scouting human space would significantly improve our chances of capturing one of their ships. Our time frame is likely to be slashed, of course. I fear our limited success is worth a few more years at best. The Witch will not be pleased with the lack of tangible results, despite our initial progress. Still, one must remain optimistic. Our understanding of Thargoid interface mechanisms has improved considerably. Plenty of enhanced test subjects remain in our care. Dr. Tile is writing a paper discussing their surgical procedures, which should greatly benefit Azimuth's medtech department. All Project Serif needs is a little luck. I am not so proud as to withhold a prayer asking for that luck. Perhaps the gods will smile upon us.
Commander Hyford was hired to deliver human subjects for experimentation, plugging them into Thargoid technology, trying to get them to pilot Thargoid ships. Couple of interesting points that immediately come up. First of all, Black Flight. Are they working for Black Flight, or are they employing Black Flight as mercenaries to help them get the job done? It seems like they're employing them, but their working relationship isn't clear. Who or what is the Witch? Whoever they are, they're pushing this group to find results. Azimuth are supposed to have been the company that owned the Adamastor and the Hesperus, and were taken over by rival company Pharmasapien 200 years ago or so. And yet here they are, from only 4 years ago, being mentioned. So what has happened? Has somebody bought up the old Azimuth facilities and just resurrected the name? And if so, who? There's a few potential suspects. INRA being one. Is this what INRA are now? When they apparently went defunct, did they not go defunct at all, but did they go undercover and then emerge with a new name? A name which has only just been discovered and resurrected from the past. Azimuth. If this is INRA or another organisation like them, then one theory is that they acquired Pharmasapien during the first Thargoid War, and including all of the old Azimuth facilities which Pharmasapien presumably had also taken over. That would tie up a lot of loose ends.
Handbrake is on.
Get back to the ship, get on board, and our next location, where the next listening post can be found, is here. Col 69 sector JI-I space C10-4. And it is letting me plot there. I've FSS'd the system and found a beacon. Another listening post and a message as follows. Message corrupted, decoding. Below that, a key to decode the number at the end before the message ends. I can't stay here too long, don't feel safe, like something's about to appear in the sky any second. I've plotted a route to, that translates to a system in the Wregoe sector. No reason for me to be here. Meet me. Please don't be long. This is a system that you're supposed to go to next. Wregoe space DK-R space B4-1. But because of all the permit zones down here, even with a long range ship, you may find there is no route that you can plot through it. In which case, try plotting to this system first. OUTOTZ space NQ-C space C26-6. Try plotting there first. And it should get you around the permit zone. Hopefully the last of our plotting round permit locked areas problems are over, and we're now at the next listening post. Message as follows. You were supposed to be here. I'm trying. Project isn't going well. Hard to get away. Screw the project. You said you would get me home. I'm sorry. One more stop. I'll find you, I promise. Where? And then they give the location of the system. I'll try. I'm tired. Scared to close my eyes. The dream? Just meet me. I'll be there. I promise. And then another of these numbers at the end. And so we'll go to the next beacon, which should be the last of them. When the junk characters of the last address for the last listening post have been deciphered, they lead us here to Synuefe space Gb-O space C9-8. Should be able to plot just all the way here without any hassles. We're well clear of the permit locks areas now.
Frame shift drive charging.
So we'll just jump through the ring of this rather nice looking gas giant and be on our way.
4, 3, 2, 1, engage.
In front of this extremely bright planet is the last of the listening posts, beacons, whatever you prefer to call them. And the message on it. Corrupted decoding, and with the usual numbers to tell you how to decode the key. Stenson suspects someone helped you escape. I can't do anything that would draw suspicion. They reassigned me to... We'll decipher that in a little. I have to go, no questions asked. I've embedded the system permit code to this message. You take it, give it to the press or authorities, whatever you want, but don't you ever come here. Run as fast as you can and never look back. I'm so sorry for everything we did to you. So far, there have been a couple of unique things about this story. First of all, that an old piece of lore has been resurrected and linked into this whole big new story that we're telling. And secondly, that this is the first time that we've ever got a system permit given for scanning a listening post. You would normally get them by working for the faction that controls the system or something like that. Never by scanning a beacon to be automatically granted a system permit, and yet here it is. Down at the bottom there on the left, HIP 22460, that's what that system translates to. We now have the system permit for it, and we can go there to get to the end of this particular chapter of this story. When you get to HIP 22460, you will need to FSS the system, and it's a big system, 67 bodies, but it's necessary in order to find two things: a megaship and another planet base. The megaship first is called the Overlook and is a black flight ship. It was reported as having left its last location at the same time as a capital class signature was detected here in this system, which was then locked by the Pilot Federation. So all very suspicious. Here we are at the Overlook, and clearly been the subject of a Thargoid attack. Caustic damage all over the thing. And whenever I see these, it always reminds me of that line from Aliens, where they go down to the base and they find it completely trashed with acid burns everywhere. And one of the soldiers says, whatever happened here, we missed it. And that's what this always reminds me of whenever I see one of these.
Deployed.
Accidentally fire a heatsink, but hey. There you go, hull breaches, automated defense turrets, data transmitters. The usual kind of things that you would expect to find. Alright, what we're looking for is the ship log uplink. Again, use your data link scanner. And there are two of these, but you may only find one of them at a time showing up in the nav panel, and the second one not showing up until you've used your data scanner on the first, and you may have to fly around the ship a little bit to find the second one, but persevere, they are both here. What a mess. It has ceased to be. It is a dead megaship. Data Node 1 and Data Node 2. Attention, Black Flight operatives. Thargoid forces have been reported in numerous systems. Superpower military presence in the Pleiades likely to increase. Major news coverage is imminent. Continued knowledge suppression efforts are untenable. An immediate withdrawal order has been issued. Squadron leaders must ensure all Project Serif personnel have evacuated HIP 22460. When complete, all operatives are to return to their designated ports for debriefing and reassignment. Data Node 2. Black box recording and the ID. Are all operatives docked and ready to go? Thank you. Final telemetry checks? Good. I think we're about done with this system, don't you? Initiate the hyperspace jump. Frameshift drive surge detected. Shield damage detected. Status report. What the hell was that? I want all turrets firing. Everything we have. Give me something to work with, Clayton. Who's hitting us? How many? Shield damage detected. I don't believe you. Check again. Shield failure detected. Mayday, Mayday, this is the Overlook. Requesting immediate backup in HIP 22460. We are under attack from Thargoid vessels. Repeat, we are under attack. Recording ends. So this is definitely a Black Flight ship. Their mission was to suppress knowledge of the Thargoids, and they've said that mission has now become untenable, and then their megaship gets trashed by the Thargoids. So yeah, they did a number on this one. They did a number on the Black Flight. The Thargoids finally deciding that they've had enough and striking back. To see the second base and get the final part of the story, we need to go to planet, well, body 7C. the moon of this gas giant here. So, off we go. Hit the planet with a DSS to discover the second
Surface
base.
scanned by 50%. Surface scan complete.
And there it is. The appropriately named Fort Asch. Get to the base, there are a number of crash ships around it. There's a comms beacon you can get data from. There's another data beacon, but unfortunately the message is corrupted. There are some materials to pick up, but as always, what we are interested in are the main logs from the base itself.
Project Serif, log 34. Professor Kaylee Oren reporting. Following Professor Dawn's reassignment, I'm responsible for logging the next phase of Project Serif. The primary objective is acquiring a new Thargoid vessel. Our human pilot integration tests aren't going to achieve much without one. The staging facility in HIP 22460 is up and running. Black Flight ships patrolling in anticipation of non-human activity. Ground teams are examining the system's 2 Thargoid surface sites in the hope of attracting a Thargoid vessel. According to Captain Stenson, our operation is textbook. I'm not convinced the captain could read a textbook, but I'll take him at his word. The permit check is still active in this system's nav beacon. I have to say, the considerable investment in securing that permit is impressive. Pass my thanks on to the relevant donors. Initial system scans aren't showing much promise. If the Thargoids are still interested in this system, they haven't left any recent evidence. Reports of strange encounters in the Pleiades sector have increased, though. Multiple pilots have claimed they were pulled out of hyperspace by an alien craft. As you know, this tactic was common during the First Thargoid War. I hope you understand we're potentially acting as bait out here. Assuming the surface sites are in an ancient Thargoid territory, then our ground teams are trespassing. We don't yet know how they'll be received. This risk has been calculated into your plans, I assume. I'll report again in a few days. Project Serif, log 37. Professor Kaylee Oren reporting. Still no Thargoid vessel. The surface sites are providing valuable data on Thargoid architecture and construction methods. I've requested a sweep for evidence of mycoid activity on these relics. I'm sure we'll find a use for the ground team's analysis either way. Dr. Granmore has provided a very long essay on his team's findings at Research Site Amber, which I've sent on your preferred channel. You should get comfortable before reading it. Cup of coffee or several would be smart too. As I said, very long essay. One interesting development relates to the disappearance of Subject D2. Our security team found several unauthorized messages which had piggybacked along our encryption network. The datapad that sent these messages belonged to Dr. Edmund Pierce. Evidently, he is not as good with technology as he is with bioengineering, so it was simply a matter of time until we noticed. Decoding these messages revealed Pierce has assisted D2's escape from the Oaken Point Infirmary. Pierce confessed and is now incarcerated. When the interrogation is complete, he'll be executed. There was talk of making this a public event, but Pierce is popular with his colleagues. I'll announce the transgression and punishment after the fact. Better to let the traitor's deed speak for him. D2's whereabouts remain unknown. Pierce's messages at least confirm she was placed on Commander Hyford's ship without his knowledge. Hyford's elimination shouldn't affect our flow of test subjects. Until next time, say hi to Dawn for me. Project Serif, log 39. Professor Kaylee Oren reporting. One of our trade ships has encountered a possible Thargoid vessel. The trader jumped into HIP 22460 with a delivery for Research Site Bronze when it was yanked out of hyperspace. The pilot claims his modules were temporarily shut down. An alien vessel, much larger than the one held at Oaken Point, swept the trade ship with a visible energy wave before departing through a rift in space. The tactics, visual description, and residual wake readings all indicate a Thargoid craft. The trade ship carried one of the artifacts recovered from the Pleiades region for Dr. Granmore's work. Maybe it attracted the alien vessel. If it is of Thargoid origin, it would confirm they're still interested in this system. Perhaps this whole region. If we can somehow draw the ship back into regular space. Oh, surely Captain Stenson has a plan to disable it. I don't know what to make of the encounter. Thargoids have always been aggressive towards humans. Why intercept our trade ship only to leave it intact? Was it gathering information? Attempting to communicate in some way? The potential answers make me a little uneasy. At least violence would be typical behavior, predictable even. But this report suggests an adaptation of sorts, the kind ordered by further up the chain. Well, at least we know they're watching. I'll outline some theories on how to initiate a repeat encounter. Project Serif, Log 42. Professor Kaylee Oren reporting. Less than an hour ago, a Black Flight squadron was intercepted by Thargoids. 7 Black Flight ships were en route from Research Site Bronze to Fort Asch. They picked up an unrecognized signal source and were ordered to investigate. What little telemetry we have shows the ships were attacked soon after dropping from supercruise. At least 3 Thargoid vessels were involved. The skirmish, if what happened even qualifies as one, lasted less than 2 minutes. By the time reinforcements arrived, there was nothing but debris left. The Thargoids had departed. There were no survivors. Professor Dawn always sounds so confident when he talks about our study of Thargoid technology. Our dominance over the aliens seems certain when he discusses Project Serif. I'm fascinated to know what he makes of this. Project Serif, Log 51. Professor Kaylee Oren reporting. This will probably be the final log for Project Serif. I don't see much point in continuing after the withdrawal. I know. The witch gave the order. That attack on the Federal convoy is going to draw the superpowers' attention to the Pleiades, and the Thargoid presence is growing stronger each day. We can't risk exposure, so we're pulling out and taking our research with us. I get it. It's just frustrating. I was so sure we were making a difference here. The first human-piloted Thargoid ship will be a huge step in our technological evolution. We were getting closer with each test, and then it just stopped. All the momentum we'd enjoyed ebbed away. People trained to work with hard data have resorted to chasing ghosts. The objective was to find a new Thargoid vessel. As though it were just a matter of time. I guess you could say they found us instead. I'll arrange transport for the remaining test subjects. We have a few locations which could house them for a while. If the Thargoids really are back, then there should be an opportunity to obtain another vessel. Eventually. Assuming they don't wipe us out first, of course. I'll be at Azimuth headquarters for a full debrief within 48 hours.
Well, there's a fair bit to unpack there. First of all, those 2 doctors really need to sue their charm schools for a refund. And apparently it was not Commander Hyford who, after delivering the prisoners, helped one to escape. It was the other doctor, the one who looked shocked or said nothing, or didn't show as much enthusiasm as the other doctor during the experiment. Clearly had misgivings, suddenly developed a conscience, got one of them out and was killed for his pains. Interestingly, this seems to point to the idea that the ship that Dr. Dawn was testing was a scout. And it seems like this interface to Thargoid ships was with a scout ship, and then interceptors turned up, and they essentially had no defense against those. that kind of figures, because we are told that Aegis released the AX multi-cannons in 3303 when these people were operating, and as we know, AX multi-cannons are fine against scouts, and you might even get lucky, or if you're a very, very good pilot, manage to kill a Cyclops with one, but anything above a Cyclops, forget it. AX multi-cannons will basically only tickle and annoy them. That seems a little bit strange to me, because surely from the first Thargoid War they must have known, interceptors existed, different types of Thargoid ships existed, so unless I'm missing something, I'm having a bit of a hard time reconciling that one. But yeah, the Thargoids pulling people out of hyperspace, shutting them down and scanning them then is not a tactic that they used in the first Thargoid War. They did pull them out of hyperspace, but presumably they just attacked. And so we see the scientists there expressing surprise that having pulled the ship out of hyperspace, the Thargoid just shuts it down and scans it. Anyway, the bottom line is that whoever the reborn Azimuth biochemicals are, whether they are INRA after being officially disbanded, going underground, continuing covertly, and eventually acquiring all the Pharmasapien and Azimuth resources and resurrecting themselves under the name Azimuth. How much of all that is true, and if it is INRA, it would make sense. Mention of the mycoid virus, which was an INRA project, of course. Are they still around? Are they still actually operating? If so, what are Aegis really doing? Lots and lots of questions, lots and lots of apparent contradictions with what's gone before, but remember what Salvation said at the beginning of all of this, that the knowledge that we would discover would rewrite history. There's a lot about our encounters with the Thargoids that even those of us who've been to the sites, even those of us who've followed the trail, scanned the beacons, gone into the history, visited the old INRA sites, found out about the mycoid virus and John Jameson, there is a possibility that even those of us who have done that and tried to find out as much as we could in an independent and objective way have also been misinformed or told half the story or given a load of spin. Who can say? But yeah, this opens up the potential for all kinds of things to be happening next, and I'm absolutely convinced it's going to tie into the Salvation story somehow. And so, but that is it for now. You can go and you can visit the Thargoid structures, and like the other Thargoid structures that you can find around the place. So there you are. They appear to have bitten off more than they can chew, and as the second Thargoid War began, they had to withdraw from this place, and it seems they were attacked very, very early on. And there's a mention of the altercation between the Federal ship and the Thargoid ship, which is also in the laws. So what started off as tying up one loose end may actually be tying up several loose ends. And yeah, although once again we are at the stage where we've got to wait and see what happens next, this has been a really nice chapter in moving the story along. As usual, asking as many questions as it answers, but piquing our curiosity as perhaps all of these previously disjointed story threads are starting to come together at last.